All right, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, and good morning to Get Started with Einstein for Salesforce Admins. My name is Ella Marks. I am a Senior Admin Marketing Manager on the Admin Relations team here at Salesforce. And today I have the privilege of talking to you all about AI, what the new generative AI innovations mean for you Salesforce admins, and showing you some of the new tools that were announced just last week. But before we get started, just a quick thank you for all of you joining, whether you're in person or online on Salesforce Plus. Thank you for taking the time to really focus on your learning here at TrailblazerDX. Now, before we get started, just a quick reminder to please make all of your purchasing decisions based on currently available products and features. With the introduction of Einstein in 2016, Salesforce really pioneered AI for CRM. And if you've been building on the platform for a number of years, you may be familiar with some of these tools. Things like Einstein Search, Next Best Action, or Prediction Builder. And because of admins like you building with these tools, today Einstein generates over 1 trillion predictions every single week. Now, with the introduction of generative AI and new AI technologies and capabilities, this number is just going to grow. So let's take a step back and start from the very beginning. What is generative AI? So generative AI is a family of deep learning algorithms that can generate new content, like text, imagery, code, voice, and even video. And it's different from some of the traditional types of AI we may have interacted with in Salesforce in a couple of different ways. First, there are super powerful algorithms. So the algorithms that powered traditional machine learning or predictive artificial intelligence could look at millions of parameters. Now, generative AI can look at billions, so that is a huge increase in the order of magnitude. Next is generative outputs. So when we were looking at predictive AI, we always knew what we were going to get. We would put information in as an input, and we would get a recommendation or a prediction. But with generative AI, it's different. We're getting new content as well. And it's conversational, so the way that you interact with it is different. Raise your hand here if you've played around with ChatGPT or Gemini or another tool like that. Okay, great. So we have some familiarity with these tools in the audience, and you'll know from interacting with those, they are conversational. You refine your outputs as you go, and you have the ability to tailor what you're getting, your responses, and make them even better in that kind of conversational capacity. And finally, it's a little bit different because there are new opportunities. And I know that that can feel a little bit scary when there's new technology. We may not fully understand what that means for us, what that means for our businesses, but we're hearing people really want to use it. And that can feel a little bit scary. So my goal today is to kind of demystify this technology and look at specifically what it means for you as an admin within the context of Salesforce. So let's look at some examples of how we might use AI within Salesforce today. So on the left-hand side, I have some examples of predictive AI. So these are things like automating sending an email to a customer, forecasting future sales, or pulling relevant knowledge articles for a conversation. Again, these are things that you might be doing today with tools like Flow or Next Best Action, or even bots. And on the right-hand side, we have our generative AI examples. Things like generate starter code for future edits, summarizing cases to create knowledge articles, or drafting a field description on an account using CRM data. Now, before we go on, I just want to take a moment and pause and look at the verbs that are highlighted in bold here. And you can see a difference between the ones that we're associating with predictive and with generative AI. So with predictive AI, we see verbs like automate, forecast, and pull. But on the generative side, we see things like generate, summarize, and draft. So I want you to keep this in mind, the difference in the way that we talk about these solutions, because as you're thinking about how you might build with AI in your organization, these words can actually give you some insight into what tool you might need to build the solution or what type of technology you should really be looking at. So how does this all work? How does generative AI work? Now, for a lot of you who've played around with ChatGPT or Gemini or these other tools, this is not new information, but we'll run through it quickly. So we always start with a prompt that it will pass through a large language model, or our LLM, you might hear it referred to, and then it generates a response. So an example prompt might be, write me a poem about Salesforce. That passes through that large language model, and it can generate something like, in clouds above, Salesforce soars, linking data, opening doors, lightning fast, trails it paves, guiding businesses on digital waves. Now, we see how the LLM was able to do that. It took what it knows about poems and what it knows about Salesforce, and it put those things together to generate this really exciting poem example for us. Now, this is really great and really, really cool. If you're getting hands-on with this for the first time, this technology will really blow your mind. But for most of us, we're not really interested in creating poems within our Salesforce orgs. Or maybe you are, and if you are, I want to talk to you and understand a little bit more about that. But for most of us, this poem use case is really exciting, but we want to know, how do we apply this principle to Salesforce? So what if we apply this concept of prompt to LLM to response within the context of Salesforce? Well, we could do things like summarize open opportunities. We could develop code faster, so write code using natural language. We could do things like describing complex formulas with natural language as well. And all of these examples here are just really only scratching the surface of what is possible with this technology. And what I really want each and every one of you to do is, throughout TrailblazerDX and even throughout the next few weeks, think about what are the use cases and applications for this technology? How might they work in your organization? Because your ideas are going to be unique and tailored to your business and going to be so, so critical in helping kind of get this technology out to your companies. Now, this is all possible on Salesforce because of the Einstein 1 platform. Now, the Einstein 1 platform is the platform that you know and love. You're building on it every single day. But what makes this next generation of the platform different is that we have Data Cloud and Einstein built right in. So this ability to have real-time data and the power of artificial intelligence in your org gives you a lot of power as a Salesforce admin. That means that you have the ability to create these intelligent, automated, integrated experiences for your users wherever you are across the platform. Now, the key differentiator for this platform is the metadata framework, and that's what allows you to build those experiences across all of the different, maybe different clouds that you might be working on. Now, one thing I want to call out here before we move on is trust. So anytime we talk about AI, we want to talk about trust. And we have the Einstein Trust Layer. Now, this is a key part of our platform, and what it does is it ensures that every single time we're using that generative AI technology, every single time we're going from prompt, LLM, to response, that information is going through the Einstein Trust Layer, both on its way to the LLM and on its way back to your user. This means that everything that you're building within Salesforce with generative AI, you know that trust and security and privacy are going to be top of mind there. So it's super, super important. So we just did a lot. We covered a lot of basics about generative AI and how it's possible on the platform. But what role do admins play in building with AI? The answer here is a big one. Salesforce admins are leading AI transformations, and there's a couple of different reasons for that. First, you are building trusted, intelligent solutions. You're solving business problems on the Einstein 1 platform every single day for your users. But it's not just the new technology, right? All AI and successful AI deployments are going to require clean data, and that's something that as Salesforce admins we're focusing on too. So it's not just this new technology and getting it out to our users, supercharging productivity with Einstein. We're also responsible for building that foundation to utilize AI successfully in our organizations. And it's not just about our users and companies getting those benefits too, although those are great. It's really important we can unlock that power for our users with within their flow of work. But it's for admins as well. And there are some exciting new tools that will help you build faster. Things like Einstein for Flow or Einstein for Formulas that will really help you jumpstart building. So let's take a look at one of those, Einstein for Formulas. Now, Einstein for Formulas was announced in the Spring 24 release, and it's really a really cool tool. I know a lot of folks that I've talked to wish that they had this when they were first learning about formulas, because it can really help you get up to speed that much faster. So with the Spring 24 release, we introduced Formula Explanation. And what this does is you can ask Einstein to explain a complex formula to you. So I know this example might be a little bit small, but what we can see here is we've pasted in our formula, and Einstein is now telling us in natural language what that does. So imagine you're a new admin, or you're an admin and you're looking in your org for the first time and you see some legacy formulas. You may not know exactly what those things do. This could be huge, huge help in figuring that out and understanding some of the things that are already existing in your org. Now, I mentioned the forward-looking statement at the beginning of this presentation, and this applies here, but there are some really exciting technologies coming too, some enhancements to Einstein for formulas in the next few releases. The first is formula debugging, so going beyond the basic formula syntax checker and allowing you to actually use Einstein to help you fix your formulas. And then the next one is formula creation. Now, this will also be super exciting because you can create your formulas even faster by having Einstein help you get started. Now, with all of these technologies, and anytime we're talking about AI, we always want to make sure there's a human in the loop. So just know once you start using these technologies, it is going to be super, super important that you are taking time to review whatever the outputs are that are being generated by tools like Einstein for formulas and some of the other things that we're going to look at today as well. The next tool I want to talk about quickly, you will see a lot about Einstein Copilot at TrailblazerDX, your AI assistant for CRM. And last week, we announced Einstein Copilot as a beta. And Einstein Copilot is really critical for admins because you're going to be the ones empowering users with AI in the flow of work. So right where they are, building copilots that appear whether they're working in sales or service and can help them really get their work done faster. So as an admin, you'll be configuring and deploying copilots that can help increase that user and company productivity. And I've mentioned trust a few times, but that applies here as well. You know that every single time that you're surfacing Einstein in your organization, that there is that trust kept super top of mind. So you're generating those trusted responses that are grounded in your CRM data, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And then finally, you can extend these copilots with clicks. So as an admin, you know as you're building, you're customizing and tailoring the capabilities of Salesforce to your organization's needs. And it's no different with Copilot, right? This is just another tool that we're going to be able to use to help our users and our companies be more productive and use Salesforce. There is also a link here if you want to learn more. There's a couple links on these slides, and I'll share a link at the end where you can find all of the resources about all the features that I'm talking about today. Now, the last feature that I want to touch on today is Prompt Builder. Again, you will also see a lot of this at TrailblazerDX, so keep an eye out and definitely want to learn more about this feature. Last week, we announced the GA of Prompt Builder, and Prompt Builder, I think, is a really cool tool because it takes that learning that we just did, that prompt to LLM to response, and really shows us how that can work within the Salesforce environment. So with Prompt Builder, admins will be able to build generative AI with ease. So using low code, you can build prompt templates that can surface across Salesforce. And you can ground your prompts in relevant data. Now, grounding is a term that you might hear a lot when we're talking about generative AI. And what we're doing when we say we're grounding information in Salesforce is we're using the technology to make the experiences that we're creating more relevant for our users. So we're grounding the prompts that we're creating in the data that is already in Salesforce. So I'll give you an example. If I were to ask Einstein to write me a sales email, it might write something helpful. It definitely will help me get started. It's better than nothing. But imagine that same email if I ask it to write an email about a specific customer, and I have that account name. And what if I could pull in all the products or the opportunities that have closed about that customer? What if I could pull in all of that information so that when my email is generated, it's more relevant, it has context, and all of that is built from my information within Salesforce. So I'll show you an example of this in just a moment about how we can use grounding to create these really, really incredible content, whether we're writing fields or emails as well. And then finally, with Prompt Builder, we can create reusable prompt templates that augment business tasks. So once we build a prompt, we can surface it anywhere, whether it's in Copilot, Lightning Pages, or in Flows. So let's take a look. I have a demo here, and we can take a look at this in action. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here in Setup, and we're going to look for Prompt Builder. Now, with Prompt Builder, we are going to see at the top our Prompt Builder resources, and at the bottom, these are all of our prompt templates. Now, we're going to create a new prompt template today, and that prompt template is going to help our customer service users understand all of the open cases that are associated with an account. So I'm going to add in the name. It's going to be summarize our open cases. I'll give it a description. And this prompt template is a field generation prompt template associated with the account object. So I've gone ahead, I've already created a field for this account object called Open Case Summary, and that's where this is going to go. Now, here we are in our prompt template workspace. You can see in the center, that's where we put our prompt. The right, we can select our model. And on the bottom, that's our preview window where we can preview the different responses. So what we can do is we can go ahead and we can add our prompt here. Now, what this prompt is doing is it's saying we're a support representative, and we're going to summarize the open cases. We have instructions for how we want them summarized under 500 characters, how many open cases there are, and how we want those to be explained. But remember what I said about grounding? This is useful, but we need information about the company, about the organization, to be able to help this actually be valuable for our users. So what we're doing now is we're grounding our prompt in our Salesforce data. So we've added account name, and we've also created a flow that'll allow us to ground our open cases on a specific account. So now we can go in and we can test this. So we can put in our Acme Sugar Company here. We'll hit Save and Preview. And at the bottom, you should see that this is going to generate that response based on Acme Sugar Company's information. So we can see there are 7 open cases and what exactly these issues are. Again, this is coming up with those requirements, the 500 characters, the summary of the open cases. Now, this is great, but this is really powerful when we put it in the hands of our users. So we're going to do that now. Here we're on the account page for Acme Sugar Company, and we're going to go into App Builder, and we're going to add this prompt template to the page. And so what we're going to do is we're going to select our open case summary field that we created, and we'll add our prompt template, Summarize Open Cases. And then once we hit Save, when we go back to the page, our users will actually be able to use that prompt template we created to generate that open case summary, no matter where they are, whatever account they're looking at within Salesforce. So let's take a look. So we can see that the pencil icon here has changed. That's an indicator to us that this can now use one of our prompt templates. So when we click on it, we can now see that our prompt is being put through. So again, here's our 7 open cases, what our issues are. And you'll see here we have a Use button, but we also have a response. So if we want to refine any of this information, we could type back to Einstein, make it shorter, or add additional detail. But this looks good, so we're going to go ahead and hit Use. And you saw that that just added that information directly into the field in Salesforce. So now we've been able to quickly create a prompt. We added it to our our app builder, and so we were able to surface that information in just a few clicks to our users. Well, this is really, really powerful, and as I mentioned before, we're just scratching the surface of what you can do with this technology. So think about this use case, think about the other use cases that you see here at TrailblazerDX, and really think about how you might be able to bring these to your organization. Now, before we wrap up today, I know I shared a lot of resources, we did a lot of learning, and so I want to share some AI resources with you all. So first, there were a couple of different links throughout the presentation. You can find all of those blog links and resources here if you scan this QR code or use the short link sforce.co/Einstein for admins. We have tons of great content, blog posts on each of those features, and there's some really exciting resources within those blog posts, like some new Trailhead badges where you can actually get hands-on with Prompt Builder like I showed today. So that's super exciting, new as of today, so definitely go get your hands on that. And then the other resource I want to make sure you're all aware of, so a lot of these features, Einstein for Formulas, Einstein Copilot, and Prompt Builder, were actually a part of our Spring 24 release. And so we have a page where you can go to learn more about Spring 24, what the features and the resources are for Salesforce admins. So check that out. Again, you can scan the QR code or use our short link sforce.co/be-release-ready to learn more and make sure that you're prepared for the next Salesforce release. Now with that, thank you so much for joining me today, and have a great rest of your TrailblazerDX. Before you move, this is for the folks that are in person today, so provide us feedback. Your feedback is super important, and you're one of the first sessions, so if you're one of the first 500 Trailblazers to provide a Starbucks gift card. So what you'll do, you need to have the Salesforce Events app downloaded, but give us feedback, share it. We can't do sessions like this without you, so would really appreciate your thoughts on this session. And as you go throughout the rest of the event, please share your feedback on those sessions as well. It is super important for us to get that. And then I'm actually done. So maybe we can leave that up for a minute so you guys can provide feedback. But thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.